Tag TV, and Tag Radio. Technology now has a voice of innovation and information. Get it on www.tagtvonline.com. Now, one of the things that we have gotten to the point now where they're annual, they're actually expected, anticipated events, the Georgia Technology Summit, the Excalibur Awards, the Georgia Research Alliance, and the Technology Association's Business Launch Competition. All of those were super successes in 2008. But also kind of a new addition to the mosaic was a venture forum that TAG collaborated with the Chamber of Commerce and the CEO Council, I believe. Wasn't that the case? And
yes.
That turned out to be pretty successful.
That was really successful for the first year. A couple of years ago, again, I think it's important for our listeners to understand the history, is that we, particularly driven by our venture investors that are in the area, and there's not as many as we'd like to see, certainly, but the ones that are here are active, and they're also concerned about having more investors in the community. And they've traveled the country and been at venture conferences, and they've seen that in Georgia, even though we've had some good venture conferences, we wouldn't have what would be called a world-class venture conference. And, of course, a venture conference is where we showcase technology companies from our area to the rest of the nation in respect of venture capitalists coming in. So our goal was to bring venture capitalists in from around the U.S. to see our companies with the long-term goal of having more investment in Georgia. And it actually worked out quite well. We had about 100 VCs come in from all over the states, and here are 20 of our best companies that were showcased at this event. We had about 500 people there, and the feedback was really positive from both the companies that showcased and also the VCs that visited. Something measurable that I can point to in respect to the companies that were showcased is one of the companies actually told me that after the event, in the course of a couple weeks, they had 10 calls from VCs that had heard their presentation, and they were interested in talking more to that particular company. So that's the goal, and it worked well. TAG was actually, as you said, with the Chamber and the CEO Council, one of 3 organizations that contributed some startup dollars to hire an executive director, Allison Eman, who has done a really nice job in her first year, and to get this thing going. So her sole focus is to build on this first successful venture conference and make it a staple for our state in respect to showcasing our companies and bringing in VCs.
You know, it seems, and I don't mean to sound vain about it, because I know that you have worked very hard to get to this point and remain humble in terms of anybody making too many compliments, but it just seems like TAG keeps hitting home runs, and one thing for sure is that it's about activity and not productivity. I mean, it's about productivity, not activity. Sometimes you can get good turnouts, good crowds. We get record crowds, standing room only in many of these organizational meetings, many of these events. Venture Atlanta, I mentioned the Technology Summit, and I want to talk about that in a second with the one that's coming up in 2009. But the fact is that these are productive events. These are where action really happens, but also productivity happens. I know at the last Excalibur event, we talked to several of the executives that were there. Every one of them commented the same thing about how useful their membership was, how meaningful it was. And these were major players who really don't need necessarily the networking from a business standpoint, but even talked about collaboration and sharing innovation and ideas. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2009. Again, 2008 was a great year, one of foundation leading to sort of a opportunity to take us to the next level. Certainly, the Georgia Technology Summit is entering a new era. Having an opportunity to work with you on some of these events, it was at the last meeting, it was pretty amazing to actually hear that we're months ahead and already getting registrations, already getting sponsors lining up. Talk a little bit about what's coming up as far as the Georgia Technology Summit in 2009.
Well, and I'd like to say that this is our best ever, and we hope that it is, but there's been some great ones, so I guess history will be the judge of that. But we really have a strong lineup, which is an important first step. This is actually our 10-year anniversary, which we haven't broadcast. Now we are. It's on Tag Radio, so everyone will know about it, of course. But it is an important time. We've grown from a young startup organization to an organization that's matured to a degree. We still have a long way to go. But one of the indicators of our success and our interest in moving forward is the size and the scope of our Georgia Technology Summit. So this year we have stepped out and bringing in a huge name to be the keynoter for our event, and that is Thomas Friedman. Of course, he wrote, Frank, as you know, The World is Flat, and now he's come out with another book called Hot, Flat, and Crowded, and I'm reading that right now, and it's very interesting, and I think he'll be provocative in respect to his remarks to our community, which I expect to be over 1,000 people coming to this event. But and the theme is the energy of innovation, which of course has a couple meanings, and our Mr. Friedman will be talking far beyond energy in respect to what's happening in our world. And we've always, as you know, Frank, as you've been involved with this since the beginning, had a theme of innovation and entrepreneurship, and that'll continue. That's really at the core. That's why we have our top 40 innovative companies that'll be there, and people that are listening, there's certainly still time to apply to be one of those companies. We also have Ron Clark coming in. He's known as America's teacher and founder of the Clark Academy here in Atlanta. We've recently secured Daniel Heinzelman, who is the president of Energy Services at GE Energy. And we also have the Hall of Fame Award, which we give out, and that'll be given out at lunchtime. And we have 3 great finalists that are going to be being considered for that award this year. And then I get an opportunity to give the State of the Industry report as well. So it's going to be a great morning.
I can't think of us, and again, we're kind of preaching to the choir, but there cannot be another event that's more important to attend. This is a capsule of everything that's going on, plus a lot of input and education from some great leaders, great people that are going to be there, lots of networking, showcase that's out there as far as companies presenting some of their ideas, the top 40 most innovative, all of these featured speakers. Certainly Tom Friedman is live in Atlanta is going to be exciting. But also, I understand that the GE exec is something like a $30 billion executive or something in that effect. I mean, he runs a division, and he's going to be talking about collaboration and innovation and not just energy, as you point out. So much to talk about. We're kind of running out of time. You commented a little bit about Premier membership. I know that you're talking about increasing that in 2009, but also kind of quickly go into some of the new programs, and maybe are there some new societies in the prospect?
There are new societies in the prospect. Most of our listeners will know that there are 22 societies currently, and they are really a touchstone for many of our members in respect to having opportunities to get out there and to plug into the community. And we have, this last year, we had about 150 meetings driven by these 22 societies, and we expect to have as many or more in the coming year. Right now, we're exploring a couple societies, and the one that's getting the most interest right now is a society around this area, Smart Grid, which ties in nicely to the whole innovation and energy theme, and we're working with GE Energy leadership right now to see if we can get that one off the ground. And we make a determination in respect to when a society will be born based on a group of volunteers that are willing to drive it, and we need at least 8 board members. And then also that the market in respect to the life cycle, it's not becoming something that's commoditized, if you will, but it's something that's hot and on the upswing and has enough market base here in our area to support a group that will be coming to the meetings and being active in that. So that's one that we're looking at. There might be some other surprises, but we're looking forward to another great year with our societies.
Great events, new membership levels with this Premier membership, Premier partnership, new programs, possible new societies. We've talked and commented about the growth of the membership. Surely now more than ever in an economy that's at the very best going to be a challenging year, and at worst possibly one where a lot of good networking and kind of grassroots marketing is going to be more critical than it's ever been before. It sounds to me that this '09, it's kind of a rhyme, but '09 is the Technology Association's time. I think this may be the year that in a crisis situation it'll serve its community and its memberships more than ever before. One last comment, Tino, as far as '09 is concerned?
Well, we're excited about '09. We certainly hope that the economy will turn around quickly. Some of our technology companies are actually having strong years, or they're anticipating strong years, because companies are looking to create more ROI with efficiencies by using that technology. So if you can prove you have an ROI for a company, they're interested in making that investment. But we want to be there for them and support them in good times and in bad, and we think that we're positioned well to do that, and we hope that people will look at TAG as a truly a viable and a necessity in respect to how they move forward in '09. And Frank, as always, I appreciate the support of Globalspeak and what you guys do. You're a terrific organization, and we're proud to be partners with you.
Well, you're kind to say that. We've been visiting with the man, the actual host of Tech Talk, Tino Mantella, and I'm sure that Tino joins me in wishing all of our listeners a absolute blessed and grand new year. Tino, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to our next edition coming up next week.
Thanks, Frank.